Hey, you're muted. Still muted. For some odd reason. Still muted. All good. Try logging in and coming back in. We can't hear you. I can read your mouth, but nah, this is awkward. It's all right. This is we are apparently not excluded in the Not Your Safe Zone podcast. All good. All good. Yes, no. Okay. So while we get her, so hey Jess, hop out of the the link real quick, jump back in. While we get ourselves checking in. Hopefully, can you guys hear me? Hopefully, I'm looking at people backstage. Y'all can hear me? Okay, so Jess is having a little bit of technical difficulties, everything like that. Normally normally I like to be backstage and be very incognito, but considering, hey, can you try talking now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. I'm going back in the dark now.
Okay.
I'm gonna go eat my pizza now. You got this. You got
Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Wayward Jessica. This is Not Your Safe Zone. Apparently, it's not even safe for me because my phone is not trying to let me be great. However, hopefully that is the only technical difficulty we have tonight. So tonight we are discussing post-traumatic Black. Now, I know a lot of you are probably sitting there like, what the fuck is post-traumatic Black? Post-traumatic Black is a combination of things. It's generational trauma. It's what we deal with now. It's where we see ourselves going in the future. It's musical oppression. It is anything and everything in between. And we're also going to be talking about how we as a people have handled that over the years. Um, the resilience of Black people. Hot chocolate chip. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop the intro real quick and we're gonna get into it.
Why didn't you listen to me?
You know I'm coming for your plate, dog. You shoulda knew you wasn't safe, dog. You know I'm coming for your plate, dog. You shoulda knew you wasn't safe, dog.
Sorry, y'all. I'm over here fangirling about this new intro that my amazing brother made for me. And while we're at it, why don't we meet our panelists, including my brother Casper?
You dirty
You're
as hell
muted.
picking me first because like I was just minding my own business eating pizza in the back. We got hot wings and backstage chat.
Last
But
I checked, it was called Not Your Safe Zone. Anyhow.
anyway.
All right, let's meet our other panelists. We have former love poet, aka Walt, who has been here before. How you doing, Walt?
What is going on? I'm doing good today. How everybody?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for this conversation. We have. I'm gonna fuck it up. I know I'm gonna fuck it up. Eat. Casper, what is it? Damn it! I keep wanting to say Aophia, and I know that's not it. How do you pronounce
Come on,
it?
Queen,
Please,
help us out a
beautiful
little
queen.
bit.
Aoife,
Aoife. Our queen Aoife, how you doing today?
I'm good, honey. How you?
I'm good. I'm good. And we have my brother Odie. Oh, there he is. Okay. Odie, how you doing today? AKA my name's super long.
What's good? What's goody? What's goody? I'm chilling. I'm living. Doing the best I can for the sake of man.
All right, all right. So, are y'all excited for this conversation we're gonna have tonight?
Indeed, indeed, indeed.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask y'all to introduce yourselves, and tell me your name, what do you do, and give me your favorite activist, your favorite pro-black activist. So who want to go first? And I am the bitch that will pick. Walt, you want to go?
I got you. I
Go
got you.
ahead.
I'm Waltway, aka the former love poet. I am a poet, a graphic designer, a writer, a nerd, a guy who got a show coming up October 9th, shameless plug. And my favorite activist, I'm from Rochester, New York, home of Frederick Douglass. So I'm root for the home team.
Okay, okay. Who would like to go next?
Oh,
Go
so
ahead.
I'm Aoife, aka Ava Fern. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Live in Arizona now. Ugh. Just trapped in here in the red state. Um, I'm a writer. I work in finance, which is my day job. That pays the bills. And other than that, favorite act Angela Davis. Favorite act.
The Queen. Yes.
Gotta go old school. Gotta go Queen.
Yes, yes, yes. Odie, you looked like you was ready. You want to introduce yourself, brother?
Yeah. My name is Odi Lakachi William Hezekiah Onkwe. Right. Originally from Chicago, Illinois. I am a mental health and wellness coach, and I am also a wealth coach. I work independently. I also do psychosocial assessments. That's what it is that I do to, what I'm saying, pay my bills and stuff like that. And my favorite black activists, I actually have two of them. One of them is, of course, Angela Davis, and the other one is Dr. Huey P. Newton.
Mm. You don't hear Huey very often. I love it. Casper. Last but definitely not least. Go
Oh
ahead and
my
introduce
goodness.
yourself.
So, hello everybody. I am the kid that they call Casper. I'm a Christian raptivist. Yes, that's rapper slash activist. I love Jesus, super far from a pacifist. The gospel wasn't found in the Vatican, it's African at the end of the day. I am a Christian content creator, clothing brand owner, all that, executive producer of the Not Your Safe Zone podcast, and little brother to the magnificent Wayward Jessica 29. And the floor is yours, Queen.
I'm sorry, you didn't give us your favorite activist.
Oh, that would more than likely be. It would have to be Nip. How you doing? RP to the great one. You know what I'm saying? And Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton. Those two. I would have to pick those two just because of how great he was at so young and how much change he has made even after his assassination. So
I would definitely agree with Fred. I have two. Malcolm X and Fred Hampton would be my favorite activists for sure. Um, so I want to know, let's just dig right on in. What comes to mind when you guys hear the term post-traumatic black? What do you guys hear? What comes to your mind?
You want me to take it?
Go ahead, go ahead.
So personally for me, I'm a product of medical racism. 15 surgeries, over 100 medications. Woke up in the middle of surgery. They wanted to keep going because black people feel less pain apparently. So when I hear post-traumatic black, first thing I'm thinking is medical racism. I'm thinking about every interaction after, with a police officer. I got stopped walking a few times in my life, and so I'm thinking here post-traumatic black. I'm just thinking, man, we've been through some shit. I've been through some shit. It is just how we keep it, how we, just get better in a sense.
I get that. And they kept going.
Yeah, they kept going. It was my 11th surgery. It was after my 10th one. I had a knee fundification. They cut me up 5 times. My esophagus is tied off to my stomach because they didn't believe me when I told them I had pain. And so I ended up getting a hole in my esophagus for them just not believing me. So went through surgeries after I had my 10th one on my stomach. They did a pH probe. It goes down your nose into your stomach. My mom always took me home because she always took care of me. So she took me home. But this time I was in the middle of the surgery. I woke right up. They start pulling stuff out. And I can remember plain as day, the nurse looked at the doctor and said, "We can finish this while he's awake. We did this on a baby." I swear to God, I'm not. They said we can finish while he's awake. We just did this on a baby. And I'm saying no. So the doctor goes out and tells my mom in the waiting room, "You're gonna tell a black woman that something went wrong in surgery." Didn't tell her what happened. Just something went wrong in surgery. So you hear my mom coming down the hallway through every door, busting over where my baby at. And I was good, but yeah, I ended up waking up in the middle of that surgery. And they just said, "Fuck it."
Oh, it looks like
That
we
was-
might have. Look,
Yeah.
I guess.
the FBI,
I guess Walt's
the
FBI
didn't-
agent,
yeah, a little bit.
Trisha, is not happy with Walt.
And then they
There
try
we
to kick
go.
me out. They try to kick me out the chat for talking
Your
this truth.
FBI
Out here.
agent ain't
You
trying
know
to
what I'm
let
saying?
you
They
live.
got damn, man.
I was gonna
can't
ask
live.
if your
No
doctor
matter-
was in the chat. Like,
I
dang.
can't. I'm just saying, what the fuck happened?
I mean, don't they have better shit to do? Don't they have like Proud Boys to go after or some shit like that?
Nah,
or
they
insurrectionists?
cut it off quick.
Why they gotta fuck with us all the time?
All right,
Anyhow.
all right. Let's
quiet. I'm
let's reel it in a little bit, brother poet. You have more to continue, King. Continue. King.
Oh no, yeah. I forgot where I left off when they kicked me out. Well, no, yeah, they woke up. I woke up in the middle. They told my mother what was going on. She busted in. But yeah, I remember like it was plain as day. And what was messed up because my original doctor wasn't there. Like if you got a feeling, I swear to God, if you got a feeling something talking to you, like listen, because that whole night beforehand, I was young and I'm like, something's gonna go wrong. Something's gonna go wrong. And they had my original doctor there. They didn't do the anesthesia like they were supposed to. They told me the method they told to put me to sleep was taking way too long. I'm like, something. I've been over at that point around like 60 medications. Like I'm immune to a lot of things. Like I can't take Tylenol. I can't take Vicodin. Like it won't do shit to me. So like they tried some other stuff and it barely worked. And I woke right up in the middle of that surgery. They pulled all the tubes out. I could tell you, I got stories. 15 surgeries. I have some stories about the medical industry.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. For people who don't know, my son, Mason, was born with gastroschisis. His intestines were outside of his body when he was born. At one point, they chemically paralyzed my son without my consent. I went full on mama bear in that hospital. They almost kicked me out of the NICU. I was not happy. So I definitely feel. I definitely relate to how your mom was probably feeling in that moment when they said something went wrong. And they fucked right off. Like I definitely can feel that. And I'm so sorry that happened to you. That is traumatizing as fuck.
It made me open my eyes to what life is. Like stuff that I've seen, the stories I can tell people. Like you 10 years old and the kid next to you getting fluid sucked out his head, but he happy somehow. You got a kid in here waiting for a kidney for so long, and like it just opened my eyes to see like, wow, this world is it's crazy. It's a whole other side that people don't see, that people don't know about. It's traumatic as hell.
Agreed. It was traumatic for me watching my son go through that, so I can't imagine that happening to yourself. Does anybody want to share their thoughts? What do you think when you hear post-traumatic Black?
I can definitely hop on this John real quick. You feel what I'm saying? So what it is that I think when I think of post-traumatic Black, I'm actually looking at this book right now, the Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome book by Dr. Joy DeGruy. It's an amazing book. But one of the things that I sincerely think about when I think about post-traumatic Black is the reason why we do some of the Black things that we do, right? So, for example, the reason why Black people run when they laugh, the reason why Black people go inside after the street lights come on, the reason why Black people eat particular things, the reason why Black people are always snatching their children and keeping their children close to them for whatever reason, right? I think about post-traumatic Black in the way that we as Black people behave psychologically, right? Because that's my stilo, you know what I'm saying? That's my move, that's my groove. So when I sit and think about post-traumatic black, I also think about Chicago. You feel what I'm saying? I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and Chicago is one of the most segregated cities in the United States of America, but it's segregated through covert racism and policy, right? So when I was in high school, literally like, so the way that I like to tell this story is that I went to high school with Chance the Rapper, and I was around during the 10-day period of time, right? And during the 10-day period, essentially what was going on is that my high school, everybody was smoking weed at the time. And my high school was cracking down on people who were smoking weed, but they were only cracking down on the black and brown kids. You dig what I'm saying? So in Chicago, a 10-day suspension is an automatic hearing for an expulsion. So essentially what they were trying to do is they were trying to force most of the black and brown kids out that were more outspoken, which was me and my people, you know what I'm saying? We in that chilling and shit like that. They were trying to push us out so that we would not make essentially the school look bad, so that they can continue to get funding to create a building or to get a building put up in the way that it needs to be put up. You feel what I'm saying? But when I tell you that they stole money from us, we was a grassroots organization. They systematically pushed out all the teachers of color. Like, it was out of pocket. So for me, post-traumatic black literally means what it means to be black and have that black experience in the United States in a myriad of ways.
Yeah, that is definitely a branch. Well, we'll discuss that in a few minutes. I want to hear everybody else's opinions. What do y'all think?
For me, when I think of post-traumatic black, I try to look at it in a sense of being black comes with trauma, but it also comes with so much more. And so I try to look at trauma as being something that black people as a whole have consistently had to work through, but the fact that we're still here shows that we are working through it. And so the ways in which we work through that aren't always healthy. So for me, I'm thinking, okay, so now that we've experienced the trauma, what are the things that we can do to ensure that we can manage that and come through that in a healthier way? Because I don't want to continue to do things because that's the way they've always been done. Um, I grew up in New York City. New York City is also extremely segregated. I don't know why people think, the North is so much more progressive than the South. It really isn't. Um, and I think my first experience with trauma because I was Black happened at 13 when my friend was killed by the police. And so that is when I began to understand that there are going to be things that you're just going to have to deal with because of something that is beyond your control. And how you learn to deal with that is going to determine what kind of person you are.
That really hit me, especially where you said, I don't know why people think that the North is more progressive than the South. I live in the Midwest. That ain't it, babe. It sure as fuck ain't it. Casper, what are your thoughts about, what do you think when you hear post-traumatic black?
I think of this analogy I always use when we talk about just the basis of white privilege, where they get to live in a country that we have to survive in. And that could be, as Queen spoke on earlier, coping mechanisms that we think can be medicine to us, but then we later find out through, cellular level, whether through a heart attack, stroke, seizures, all these other things, these things that we thought were medicine were actually poison. So we're just trying to take something to numb said pain, but it doesn't remove the pain. It doesn't remove the tumors. It doesn't remove the sicknesses. And then we end up creating some of these sicknesses just like everybody else. But it's on a level, especially when we're talking about the Black American experience, where you kind of have to find ways to cope with being black, all while nurturing your blackness at the same time. So it's that constant back and forth. It's a daily, hourly, encounter to encounter, conversation to conversation struggle. But that's what I think of when we talk about post-traumatic black.
And for me, when I hear post-traumatic black, I hear every voice that was on this panel, everything that they were saying. Post-traumatic black is so multifaceted, and it proves that the black experience is not monolithic. For me, post-traumatic black is what we've been through, from chattel slavery, from being stolen from our land, all the way to where we see things happening in generations to come. I mean, we need to address our generational trauma, our systemic oppression, you know, the suppression laws being put into place, the mass incarceration rate. We also need to take a look at how we suppress ourselves, and the anti-blackness that we have in our own communities. We also need to talk about things that aren't really talked about. For instance, musical oppression. Did anybody know about Strange Fruit until TikTok? I mean, come on. Like, that's not this. These are things that are not taught. Was anybody taught that Ray Charles was booted out of Georgia for refusing to play in a segregated theater until the movie Ray came out? Did anybody know that? Hell no, because that's not taught. These things are not taught. So not only is post-traumatic black what we've been through, it's also about the history that we've lost, what we've forgotten. And that's kind of why I wanted to have this conversation, because I feel like we need to start remembering. So let's get into systemic oppression. Let's talk about that. We all know about that. All of us at some point has experienced that. Like, for instance, Walt said that he dealt with medical racism. What sort of systemic oppression do you guys think is our biggest threat right now? Who would like to go first? Go ahead, Casper.
So I usually don't like to go first, but I think that this is important. I think the fact that it's a threat period, we shouldn't have to put like small or big on it, because it's just like that poison analogy I gave earlier. There's poison, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how much poison. I think that's dangerous. A close connection that I have, especially kind of relating to brother Walt was speaking of, but you know, the discrimination and racism in which we see in the medical field. In my family personally, I have a half brother that his birthday is the same day that his mother was born. His mom died giving birth to him. Why? Because they did not feel the need to approach with the same urgency that they would a white woman that was in distress, depending on the area she was living in and everything like that. She may have had her own demons, had her own vices and everything like that, but they have people that literally spoke of his uncle in particular that said, it's just another junkie. Let's not, you know, there's no need to move too fast. And you got to think of every second of lackadaisicalness, every second that, you know, they decided to be convenient when it was something that needed to be a big issue and taken seriously, cost somebody their life. And I think it's the fact that it is so subtle, and and that's why, like, I don't like the term biggest or littlest, because it's a damn problem. So I don't think we can start there and say what's the biggest and what's the littlest, because a grain of rice to us is a meal to somebody else, and a headache to somebody else is a migraine to somebody else. So I just wanted to kind of bring that to the forefront before the rest of my kinfolk speak on this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I had an ADHD moment and my children came in here.
Oh man, you're a full-time mother. How dare you?
I know.
I can't believe it.
It's bedtime, so you know they feel like they gotta fight. but yeah, I do want to address something that Amethyst and Anthony said. Our problem is not learning; it is unlearning and relearning the truth. That is 100% correct, and I am definitely going to get into that eventually. However, let's stick with what we're talking about right now. What do y'all think is our biggest threat as far as systemic oppression? Go ahead, Queen.
So I I feel what Casper's saying. I think the issue with systemic oppression is that it is so systemic that it's always interconnected to something else, right? So you have a young woman who dies, and due to medical racism, they didn't attend to her in the way that they needed. But if she had a drug problem, so now you have another issue that should have been addressed prior to the birth. Then you have um, a poverty issue that probably is what led to the drug problem. So when we're talking about systemic oppression, it is so many tentacles that it is so hard to say, I want to focus on this area. And that's why I think having activists from all walks of life is so valuable, because no one can take it all on all the time. It is so overwhelming. But people can work on different areas in the ways that they can contribute to try to get at the biggest, get through those, bigger challenges. So for me, um, lack of resources and lack of just basic knowledge is a huge problem that I try to focus my energies on, because you don't know what you don't know. And so it's hard to even recognize the ways in which you are fighting against a system that is designed to handicap you if you're unaware that the system itself is designed that way.
I actually want to piggyback off of what Aoife said real quick, if you don't
Go
mind.
ahead. Go ahead.
So I think one of the biggest things, or one of the biggest threats, to or with systemic racism is the quantification and qualification of what knowledge actually is, right? So what do I mean by that? There are things that are easily dismissed by people because they don't think that it's true, or they don't think that it's factual, right? So this whole idea of fake news, this whole idea of fact checking, like, we're in an information age where a lot of the information is useless, right? But the people who are utilizing this information are doing it in order to continue to support white mediocrity, which is, I feel, another one of the largest issues. Another one of the largest issues as it relates to systemic racism. Miss Aoife, or Queen Aoife, you said that you don't know what you don't know, but you are unwilling to learn something if you do not feel as if though what you're learning is valuable. Do you understand what I'm saying? White mediocrity prevents people from understanding and identifying where it is that they are falling short, and white mediocrity allows them to continue to move in that way because of white supremacy. White supremacy makes white mediocrity better than the best black excellence.
And we definitely seen that time and time again. For me, I think our biggest hurdle is that a lot of people don't realize that this starts locally. We can't just
You better
charge
say
and give
that.
it.
You better say that. Hold on real quick.
This shit starts locally. I mean, like, we can't just, we're not white, okay? We can't storm the fucking Capitol and whine because, some stale ass Cheeto didn't win an election. We don't get to do that, because damn well the minute they would have seen us marching down the street, they'd have opened fire. We don't get to do that. How it starts is you get to know the superintendent of your school district. You get to know who your aldermans are. It starts at a local level. And if we're not willing to make the changes there, how dare we sit there and say and complain about what's going on Capitol Hill? How can we do that when we're not paying attention to our own community? When did we lose the "it takes a village" mindset? We're so busy whining about the big picture, we're not focusing on the puzzle pieces that we need to put together. So for me, the biggest threat is ignorance. It's not a law. It's not a, I don't know if y'all can hear my kids messing around in the background. I'm sorry. But
tell them to turn the podcast on and hit subscribe. We try to
they
get to
supposed to be going to bed.
I'm just saying we try to get to 100 before the 28th, but that's
literally
the point. Continue.
But our biggest threat is ignorance. We don't know where we come from. We don't know what to do next. We're not focusing on the right things. And that's why we are in the place that we are at, in my opinion. So let's go back to this. Let's go to the topic of.
We skipped over Brother Walt.
Did we? Jesus.
Yes, we absolutely did.
I am a failure today. Blame it on my ADHD.
You are fine.
Go ahead.
Hey, I'm just chilling. I'm just chilling, listening to the conversation. I'm cool. What was the biggest threat? What I think the biggest threat is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's the whole system. It's the whole thing. Like everybody else said, it's just because like one thing leads to another. That's why I try to fight in the areas I try to fight in, against police brutality, against mass incarceration, against medical racism is big. Like I said, I'm personally affected by it. Women dying at a high rate during childbirth. Like anything that's going to be taking people away from us. Like it's hard to put on what's the most important thing because it all affects us. Every little bit of the system affects us in almost every aspect of our life. From what?
No, go ahead, finish your point, brother. Go ahead. No,
but say from, like I said, if it's from the medical industry, from at my job where my manager can tell me to go find my master. And he don't lose his job. I get told I could be hung from the ceiling at another job and nothing happens. So it's just like, and I gotta go home and think about that. Like shit, I'm stressing out, and so just every little facet of this, everything around us is just rooted in. It's just that white supremacy.
Can I share something to kind of piggyback off of Brother Poet real quick?
Go right ahead, because I know Messy Minister about to take his belt off, so you need to go ahead.
And Casper saw that. Yes, I did. He over here threatening people, my big brother, in the comment section. So one thing that I think this is why I wanted to start this topic in general with that statement when I said it doesn't matter what the biggest is or what the smallest is, because it is still one thread of part of the same garment. So if you are going to start this work and you are going to think of what the issue is, you got to realize what you pulling on is what it's connected to. You know what I'm saying? Because if you start pulling, you can't stop. It ain't going to look pretty if you don't finish. You know what I'm saying? I have a hoodie on right here. I ain't going to pull the string because I ain't trying to let nobody see my bird chest without no barbecue sauce. But the point, the analogy I'm trying to draw home is that once you start pulling or you acknowledge that it's there, you either clip it, try to prune it so there could be proper growth because there can be things that needs to be cut off of it, or you need to pull all that out of it. You know what I'm saying? All of it that it's connected to, or you really don't want to do it. You could just let the threads hang. I'm gonna alley-oop that back to you, my sister. I got you.
Definitely. That I think that analogy is perfect. I mean, and you can't start in the middle. You can't start in the middle. You start at the end and you keep pulling and you keep going until it's fucking finished. And we're not finished. We're not.
What we notice though, when we pull on those threads, is the fact that it's all interconnected. So we see every single time one of us talks about an issue in our community, someone comes, some palm-colored person enters into the chat and says, why do you have to make everything about race? Because you made everything about race. So once you pull on that thread, I guarantee you I can pull this thread and circle back to white mediocrity, but you don't want to acknowledge that.
Exactly. And can we stop saying that the system's broken? Because it's not. The system is working exactly as it's designed to. I'm sorry, I'm over here being a fat ass. I'm human, sue me.
You know what I'm about to say.
I don't care. I did not eat, so leave me alone. Anyhow, the system, it's working exactly the way it was designed. So we don't get to be whining and crying, saying that the system's broken. The system's broken. No, it's not. No, it's not. The system was originally put there to keep us in our fucking place, to keep us down here and white people up here, to keep poor people down here, to keep rich people up here, to keep us poor and to keep white people rich. I mean, so stop saying that's broken, because it's not. We need to tear it all down. And it starts locally. And it also starts at home. Like Anthony was saying, unlearning and relearning. We need to get the ideals of white supremacy out of our own fucking homes. And let's talk about generational trauma. So, it's a thing I've been seeing a lot this past year on TikTok is the comparison of spanking your kids. And it comes from chattel slavery. You got to put the fear of God in them before the slave master does. What other examples of generational trauma that you think is harmful to our community have y'all noticed? Who would like to go first? Odie, how about you? I told you I'm the bitch that'll pick.
I fuck with that. But nah, calling women bitches. Yeah, calling women bitches. And this is what I mean by that. So when we look at the way that black women are hypersexualized, when we look at the way that black women are denigrated, when we look at the way that black women are discarded, we have to look at it not only from a racial standpoint, but from a gender standpoint or from a sex standpoint, right? Because we're looking at the intersection between racism and what is that? Patriarchy, right? I sincerely believe that the way that it is that we treat black women is intergenerational trauma, because black women were utilized to breed and black women were utilized to do multiple types of labor that people only perceived that men could do, or people only perceived that white people could do. So the way that it is that we handle black women, the way that it is that we approach black women, the way that it is that we even deal with black women, the largest narrative is that you have to earn your keep. You have to earn you have to earn your way into this house. You got to earn your way at this table. You got to earn this date. For me, that sounds a lot like slavery, bro. It sounds a lot like slavery. Like you have to earn your humanity, which for me is bullshit. You feel what I'm saying? And even the way that it is that black women engage with one another, especially between mothers and daughters, like it's the way that they engage with one another as it relates to, sometimes there's jealousy, sometimes there is, denigration, sometimes there's tearing down, because this black woman or this black mother wants her black daughter to understand that you are not better than me. And if I'm the head bitch in this house and you the under bitch, and that's just how it's gonna be, right? So I sincerely think that the way that we approach black women is intergenerationally passed down, and it's something that we need to reevaluate. Because when you free black women, you free everybody, big dog.
You know what? And I'll be honest, that is something that I never thought about. I never equated it to that, but hearing you say it, it makes sense. Especially in our community. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm one of those where I'll say to my girls, "What's up, bitch?" All this other shit. So I never really put much into the word because it was something that I always heard. So it being generational trauma did not even come close to occurring to me. See, I mean, this is why y'all need to like and subscribe and to drink your water and mind your own damn business. Learn something. I'm even learning something on my own motherfucking show. Okay? I am just saying. Who want to go next? What is some generational trauma that you think is a huge hindrance to our community? Go ahead.
I can go. It's a couple, at least for me personally, is jump back to the, the whooping thing, the beating thing. Because like growing up, no matter all the stuff that I had going on with me, my mom had me late. My mom had me at 39. You know what I'm saying? So my sister's 20 years older than me. My brother's 15 years older than me. The way she raised them, through the 70s and the 80s, and then she got to me, and I got all these problems. She still tried to do the same thing. So I used to get hit with, whatever was close, belt, shoe. I got beat with the purse strap one time. And she just thought it was normal. Go get that switch, make sure you get one with enough leaves on it. I'll beat your ass and make the leaves come off. Like, that was abuse. That messed me up. And I try to tell my mom, like, and it goes to my next point. I don't know if it's generational trauma, but just trying to talk about depression or you feeling some kind of way in the Black community has always been kind of like a bad stigma around it. You know what I'm saying? So like me at 11 years old, after everything I've been through, I try to unalive myself, like straight up. So we gotta get somewhere we can be able to talk where it's not, if we're saying, hey, I'm depressed, and it's not, oh, yo, go depress them dishes type situation. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know where it comes in generational trauma, but that stigma has to go. We have to be able to talk.
I agree. There is a lot of stigma surrounding mental health, especially in our community. It's quit crying before I give you something to cry about. That's white people shit. You over here crying like a girl, saying this to Black men as if Black men don't have feelings.
That's another one right there.
Oh yeah.
That's another
the toxic masculinity.
Like I told a story on my TikTok where last year I was just chilling in I got a window right there in my living room, and it was a mom and her son, Black mom and her son walking down the street, and he walking ahead, he bawling, and she like, stop that crying. I'm thinking she about to say, stop that crying if I give you something to cry about. She said, stop that crying, you sound like a little girl. I'm like, man, let that little boy cry, let him get them feelings out. We should be able to feel more than happiness and anger. For something that for having emotion, having heart to stand your ground, we need to feel more than just, like I said, just anger and or be able to express, I should say, anger and happiness.
Absolutely.
You mind if I piggyback on that real quick?
Go right ahead, sir. Go right ahead.
I think that a lot of the stigma that comes from Black people, or a lot of the stigma that surrounds mental health in the Black community, is two-pronged. One, it comes from the idea that because we were slaves, we didn't necessarily have souls. So how can you feel something if you don't have a soul? That's one. And two, the vulnerability comes from, or this lack of vulnerability or this lack of discussion comes from the Judeo-Christian ideology, or a lot of Judeo-Christian ideologies that stipulate that people who have mental health issues are, in a sense, possessed. I think there's less Judeo-Christian and more Catholic, but either way, they were possessed, right? So this idea of spirituality outside of, this idea of mental health outside of this norm, or this idea of mental health outside of the way that it is that they perceive mental health, was, in a sense, how it is that Black people began to fall into this whole idea of, that's white people shit, and you're depressed, you know what I'm saying? Like, to go depress them dishes, this, that, and the third. Like, we had specific ways of dealing with depression. We had specific ways of dealing with anxiety. We had specific ways of dealing with all these things once the Ma'afa concluded. But we rarely tap into those things because we as Black people have internalized our oppression as a badge of honor. And we've also internalized this idea that because we are resilient, that means we can continue to be beat on and be okay. Like, nah, G, the rates of suicide for young Black men and young Black women are increasing.
Can you say that one more time, real quick? Because somebody is sleeping in the fucking back and they didn't hear what the hell you just said. Can you say that one more time?
You talking about internalizing pain?
the suicide rates.
Oh, the suicide rates for young black men and young black women are increasing rapidly, and it's like we're doing very little about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we cannot sit here and act like we're not actively bleeding all over the place. And as Odie said, wear our oppression like a badge of honor. We can't keep doing that. Um, Aoife. Ha! I remembered it this time. I am
That's
so
gold.
bad
That's
with
gold.
names. I am so
You're good. You're
sorry.
good.
It's because I've been pronouncing
You're
it in my head a certain way for like a month. And now I'm like, I gotta say it the right way. I gotta say it the right way. It's just, it's not working for me. I'm trying though. So, what about you? What is some generational trauma that you think is
whew,
definitely a big hindrance to our community?
I want to piggyback on so much. But for me, it's this. I noticed this concept of how we're raising our children. We're always talking about, I'll raise my kids this way and you raise your kids that way. And what I see a lot is, did we get raised? Were we actually raised by our parents? Because in my family, anyway, the boys were not raised. They were allowed to just run amok. And so long as they didn't bring trouble to the house, nothing was done. And the girls weren't raised either. They were groomed to take over for mom. It's this idea that the girls have to immediately step into a caretaker role for siblings, for parents. Me personally,
Speak,
I,
speak.
I left home at 16 after a conversation with my aunt where she sat me down, looked me in my face, and said, "You need to get out. Your father is making you into his wife." And it was nothing incestuous except for the fact that I did all the cooking, I did all the cleaning, I packed his lunches, I took care of his home to the point, and he had a girlfriend. He had a girlfriend for 10 years, and I was still the one answering the phones, like, yeah, this is Mrs. Fernandez, like handling things because the role of taking care of this household was placed onto my shoulders because I had a younger sister, and it was like, you need to take care of her, make sure she's okay. So it took me well into my 30s to even have a concept of what it meant for me to take care of myself because I've been taking care of someone else's children since I was like 4. So, and my father did that because as the man, as the boy growing up, he wasn't raised, he had no responsibility other than to go to work and then bring money home. So he had no concept of what it was like to develop into a full person. So, in terms of trauma, like, are we actually raising our kids? Are we guiding them into their next stages of life? Or are we just recreating the same things that we have experienced? If I have a daughter, am I going to groom her to take over my place? And is my son just being allowed to run free with no responsibilities and no concept of what it means to actually have them raised into adulthood?
Yeah, and I just want to piggyback off of that real quick before I get to you, Casper. Um, we need to understand that um, Black men are not going to be good husbands or fathers unless us Black mothers teach them to do so. You can't sit there and shit on your son for his whole life, for having emotions, for being human, and then ask another Black man, why won't you talk to me? Why won't you show your emotions? Because that was not taught. That those positive releases, those conversations were not had in the home. And that is on us Black women because due to mass incarceration, Black men aren't able to be around. From the beginning of time, Black women have been holding it down. But what we don't like to hear is we've been doing it wrong. We've been doing Black men a disservice. We can't expect Black men to respect us if we're not teaching them to do so. Just like Black men cannot expect us to respect them if we are not raised with that. It goes both ways. We cannot sit here and criticize Black men incessantly. Well, I know, Odie, I know, you ready. Without understanding that what we are doing wrong. It is okay for our sons to cry. It is okay for our sons to be human. It is okay for our sons to want to be good fathers, to want to be good husbands. They do not just need to rap a lyric or dribble a ball. They can go to college. They can learn and do other things in the world to get out of the situation that they're in right now. And that's just me. Y'all could come at me. I don't give a fuck. But that's my opinion. Odie, Casper got his hand up.
I'm gonna let Casper go real quick.
Go ahead, Casper.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I think one thing when we're talking about generational trauma, and I'm gonna touch back on this comment that where'd it go? That is generational dysfunction, and the root of it is families focused on surviving and not thriving. Me specifically, I don't have the sensationalized story that like white people like to, or more specifically the Democratic Party likes to romanticize, that we just need their help and everything like that. My parents were well off because they worked their asses off and worked themselves and deteriorated from the inside, whether it was emotionally, mentally, spiritually, you name it. We did not have time to talk about all these other things. We're thinking about the work that they were putting in was for my grandkids, essentially. So what ends up happening is generation after them gets overlooked. And then if they're taught the same dysfunction, that's going to end up overlooking the next generation. So a lot of these behaviors are taught because of coping mechanisms and survival techniques. But a lot of things get glossed over. I was just having a conversation with my old man earlier today. I was like, bruh, can I ask you a question? When are you getting your butthole checked? Like, I'm serious. Like, hear me out. This is a silent killer in our community. You know what I'm saying? I just buried my uncle 5 years ago from colon cancer. You know what I'm saying? I was like, look, I don't care what color glove they use, but you need to get your checked out. Why? This is normalized. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason that we should be getting heart attacks at 50 and people that don't look like us get them normally around 80 years old. We need to nurture our bodies. We need to take care of our bodies. It's not good enough to just get the bag if you are not nurturing your brain too. You know what I'm saying? That is dysfunction taught from.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
You want me to say that again?
Say it again.
You cannot be fighting to get the bag and you are not nurturing your brain. You know what I'm saying? You can teach anybody how to work, but what are you going to do when you're not working? That's 8 hours you're at work, but even when you're home, you're not home because you're in a bottle, because you're smoking something, because you're sleeping and your kids are getting overlooked and you're exhausted. That should not be normal. You know what I'm saying? So there a lot of these things that, yes, we had to do, but we need to know, as we always say, just take the book bag off. You know what I'm saying? We need to take the activism book bag off. Sorry, my screen went black like activism in 2020 on Instagram. Sorry. I'm sorry. But we need to normalize the very things that our other counterparts get to have as pleasurities, and we don't need to look at them as far-fetched because we're so busy trying to ascend, if that makes sense.
I agree. Odie, what you got for me? I know you've been rocking back and forth. You're like, I got something to say. Let's hear it.
First and foremost, I do not think it's fair to place all of the emotional labor on Black women in order for us as Black men to be better. I do feel as if though Black men need to do our own work, whether it be spiritual, mental, or emotional, in order to learn how to deal with ourselves. Yes, I was taught how to be emotional by a Black woman, which was my mother. But I also recognized the damage of not being emotional as a Black man from my father, because my father was in the household, but I also recognized that my father had some of his own trauma that he had to deal with that brought that out of him. or remove that from him, right? So when we're talking about this whole idea of emotional labor, when we're talking about this whole idea of being equally yoked, when we're talking about this whole idea of making sure that both people understand what it is that they need, a lot of men spend a lot of time externalizing their pain because they don't know how to deal with it on the inside. So it then turns into a lack of, how can I say, it turns into a lack of introspection because we don't know how to deal with the pain on the outside. So how are we going to deal with the pain on the inside when we can't run from it, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is this. Casper, I agree with you 110%. If your mind is not right, then your bag will never be enough. What do I mean by that? I'm going to say that one more time. If your mind is not right, your bag will never be enough. What do I mean by that? You are constantly going to have to feed some type of addiction if your mind is not right. So your money, you're never going to see that money. Just like you said, Casper, you always in the bottle. A bottle on average costs anywhere from $15 to $35, depending upon what it is you get and how much you get. A dub costs anywhere from $20 to $125, depending upon how much you get and what it is you get and how much you smoke. That money adds up. And you are talking to somebody who is not only a mental health therapist, but a wealth therapist. You dig what I'm saying? You are talking to somebody who looks at the intersection between mental health, psychology, and spending decisions and money. The reason why a lot of people, their finances are out of whack is because their minds are out of whack. They're trying to spend their way out of a problem that exists within their mind.
You know what that is, though? You know what that is, though? It's because we keep giving ourselves, I always give this analogy, the peanut butter resolution. My dog hates thunderstorms. I put peanut butter on his nose, calm him down. That doesn't get rid of the storm and the anxiety in which it gives him. But he got peanut butter. You know what I'm saying? You got a nice watch on your wrist. You got some nice kicks on your feet. You know what I'm saying? But your brain getting kicked in by your other emotions. You know what I'm saying? All these things that in which you're dealing with, if you're not nurturing, I feel like sometimes we try to make blackness look so good that we do our blackness so bad sometimes. And I think that might be the most unpopular opinion on this podcast. But I think it's so true because we always want to be excellent, but we've never been okay with accepting when we weren't excellent. And I think that needs to be more normalized than anything else.
I feel what you mean by that. I definitely feel what you mean by that. Black excellence is inherently attached to labor instead of it being inherently attached to our ascension through spirituality and mental health. I understand what you mean. Mm-hmm. Or holistic health overall.
Yeah, and to kind of
go ahead and say
address what you were saying. Yeah, no, just to kind of address what you were saying. So when I was addressing Black women, it wasn't to basically absolve Black men of their responsibility for for raising kids and teaching that emotional health and everything like that. I have just noticed that it's been an affinity of Black men ain't shit, Black men ain't doing it, this, that, and the third, but we forget who the hell raises Black men. Who raises Black men? It's Black women. Because there are a lot of times where Black men aren't in the household for whatever reason. They could just be a deadbeat dad. They could be they could be locked up due to mass incarceration. They could be, dead. For whatever reason. But I'm saying we cannot sit there and place all the blame on Black men when we're not doing the work. That's kind of what I meant. I wasn't trying to absolve Black men of their responsibility to it as well.
Oh no, I definitely feel you. Bell Hooks in her book, The Will to Change, she calls it emotional incest. So I understand exactly what it is you're talking about. The conversation definitely is jilted towards Black men not doing what it is that they're supposed to be doing, right, which is fair. It is a very fair point. And if we're looking at it from an ecological and a family systems perspective, there are some things that Black women internalize, and there are some traumas that Black women experience, including the trauma of being abandoned by the father in most cases, that is passed on to the child.
Oh yeah, definitely agree. And I'm gonna be talking about that next week. Black women in a box. I mean, it's gonna be a long one. Go ahead, Walt.
I'm over here quiet. But like to one point, one thing I try to do, if I feel like I'm in a better place where I want to talk. If I see somebody call a woman a bitch, I see a young bull out here being stupid. Me as myself as a man, I gotta take it upon myself to also check him. You know, hey yo, this is wrong. This is why it's wrong. These young bulls ain't gonna listen like that. I get that, but it's still an effort to make that. Hey, this shit is wrong in this space. Like I got into a whole battle over homophobia with one of my boys. Like I know this man for 12 years, but we went back and forth because I'm like, yo, what you saying ain't right. Or when he into to trigger on rape culture, like talk like that. I'm like, that shit ain't cool, bro. You gotta, as a man in my position, I feel like I need to speak up or talk out on issues or those areas just as much as I do when it comes to racism. You know, I gotta speak up against sexism, against misogyny or whatnot.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think that is a issue that we have as a community as a whole. We don't hold each other accountable. We don't. I mean,
Yes,
like
we do.
No,
you
we
and I
don't.
hold each other accountable.
No.
But what we not finna do is come up here and
blame each
lie.
other for the problems?
We do
hold
not.
each other accountable, or do we blame each other for the problems? Because
Hey, you know what? That was a temperature check. I wanted to see if everybody was alive on screen. That's good.
We
That's
is
good.
not
Now
gonna sit here and lie.
we all on the same page. That's all I needed to do. I'm sorry.
I just had a whole thing on TikTok because I was talking about how when we are in our community, not talking about outside, I'm talking about us. When we have a situation where a person has done something wrong, when they have been problematic, and I'm gonna go there since R. Kelly is in the news, the launch of attacks toward people who are trying to hold that person accountable are always wrapped around this concept of you're trying to destroy this black man, or you're trying to bring him down, or you're helping the racists
I'm gonna
bring
say
this
this.
black man down.
I'm gonna say this. That black man peed on little girls. Yes, I'm trying to tear his
He
ass
harmed
down.
our community.
Yes.
He harmed our community. So when our community tries to hold him accountable, we need to be holding him accountable. But if the person who is problematic happens to be male, far too often people are so tied into this concept that our community success is predicated on the success of our men. And while I am all for supporting black men, I am married to one. Black women are out here excelling. Okay, we are the most educated demographic in the country, and yet still the most underpaid. Okay, so we have to look at success on a community level bigger than just did one of our men make it, because some of our women are killing it, and we don't afford the women that same sort of defense if they're problematic. But if one of our successful men ends up fucking up, you can't talk about that because you're going to destroy our entire community by calling him out.
So I'm gonna just say this, and then I'm gonna get to you, Odie. I see you. I see you. Me and my sister Key were talking about this the other day. Just what you were talking about, girl. It was black men are celebrated when they get out, when they make it. But when black women make it, it's expected. They like black men will be like, "Oh my God, look at you! You're taking care of your kids. You're such a good dad." And while they sitting there looking at the
Babysitting your kids. Babysitting your kids.
babysitting your kids, and then they be sitting there looking at the black mom and be like, "The fuck you need help for? You can do it."
Babysitting your kids.
Black men are celebrated for the same things that black women are expected to do. We are held to different standards, and that is because of the patriarchy. Go ahead, Odie. I see you just itching, bro.
Yeah, I'll be itching a lot all the time. But nah, real talk. So I gotta say two things to that. The first thing I'm gonna say is this. I believe that we do need to start looking at success at a community level. But I also believe that we look at success too linearly. We don't look at it as a strategy with a means to an end. What do I mean by that? In a game of chess, the queen has the most amount of range. Literally can move anyone on the board. The king needs to be protected by every other piece because the king can only move one piece at a time. What does that mean? That means that we need to understand how to utilize each other and depend upon one another. We're not necessarily depend upon one another, but engage with one another in order to strategize, in order to meet an end goal. With a lot of men, because they've internalized patriarchal ideologies, they don't want to share that power because they feel as if though if the woman gets to the finish line first, it's emasculating. So one, that's internalizing, that's Eurocentric in and of itself. Like, I'm not even gonna go, I'm not gonna go into that whole spiel, but it's definitely Eurocentric. That's one. Two, as it relates to black men being celebrated for things that black women are just expected to do, I think that has a lot to do with the narrative around black men. So I'm going to give you an example related to mental health. When I was getting ready to graduate from college, I literally was having anxiety because nothing black happened to me, right? As a black man, nothing black happened to me. I had never been to jail. I had never been, you know what I'm saying? I had never been accosted with a weapon. Like, have people pulled guns on me? Absolutely. Have I ever been shot at? Kind of, sort of. But have I ever been shot in such a way where...
Hold on. Have I ever been shot at? Kind of, sort. What the hell?
I know what kind of sort of is. I've been shot at.
Yeah. That's
Girl,
I think this is a guy thing. Jessica, I think this is a man thing.
Yeah,
it's like around.
Like you got to hit that gate. You got to jump real quick. No legs.
No, not the gate. I was 3 years old, good brother. We had to lie on the back of the Toyota. You feel me?
Oh no, but I
think this is a man thing. They understand this, and we're just like.
But see, that's my point.
You be in the city and like you get misrepresented, or somebody thinks that you somebody else. Oh yeah, ain't that mother over there? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Kind of, sort of.
Here's the thing.
Hey, but either you're shot at or you're not. It's kind of it's like kind of sort of does cocaine. Either you do it or you don't.
That's a manager thing.
You can kind of sort of.
You can kind of.
All right.
Does it count if you don't know?
Anyway. All right. Go ahead and finish your point, Cody, and then we're gonna move on.
I got you. So what I was saying was this. In terms of gender, they're just like you all said, this has to be a man thing, right? Because I was talking to my mother and my sister, and I was like, yo, I think that black men and black women have completely different fears that are in line with our gender expressions. We have completely different fears. You dig what I'm saying? So when it comes down to that idea of what it is and how it is that we are moving, I think that a lot of times gender modifies how it is that we engage within the black community a lot more than we are willing to admit.
Facts. Absolute facts. Facts and no palm trees. Let's talk about musical oppression. And I know Casper is going to be chomping at the bit to be talking about this because he is our raptivist on screen.
Hey, yo, watch your mouth, blood.
I said what I said. So, I mean, as I discussed earlier, we have Billie Holiday, who was vilified for Strange Fruit. And then it was pushed on to Nina Simone. And now we have stupid fucks on TikTok remixing it and not understanding the context of the song. But I'll leave that the fuck alone for now, I guess. What are some examples of musical oppression that y'all know of? If you know of any. If you don't, I mean, that's fine too. Casper, go ahead. I already knew you wanted to be first for this one. Go ahead.
Look, I didn't want to be first, but I raised my hand the first. Anyway, but just simple, it's not even so much musical suppression. It's more so what is palatable to the consumers or what they deem palatable to consumers. We don't want to hear somebody like, and this is terrible. We don't want to hear somebody like Chika who can rap better than Cardi B. Sorry, I said what I said. We don't want to hear somebody like Chika or Rhapsody. And one of Cardi B's ghostwriters is from my city, by the way. Completely besides the point. That's the last palm tree I'm throwing today. But we want to dress up people that look a little bit more, I want to say, aesthetically pleasing. Get that thing out my face. Aesthetically pleasing to people, but it's even worse when we're talking about black to white. There's a reason why it's, I mean, because this is a hot topic. Eminem is not a good songwriter. He is a lyricist. He got all his flow from Redman, essentially. He got all of his glow from Redman, all these other rappers and stuff. But he's like one of the minute examples of white lyricists. He has, if I'm not mistaken, the most sales within the hip hop genre, a space that we built. We don't even reap the benefits off of. The record executives that push this music, we're not even in these rooms. You know what I'm saying? Though we are killing the music game, we don't control how these things flow. It's all of that is a fruit in a sense, because if we're talking about capitalism, first you got to get in these rooms. And then if you get in these rooms, then you get to push or decide what gets pushed. It's not even so much what actually is somebody's consuming. It's just more so what food are you pushing out for everybody to eat. So when we're talking about music suppression, you got to think about what people think black expression should look like by white people. And we also got to think of the messaging or how they're cooking the ingredients for said food to be pushed to consumers. But that's it. I'm gonna go back in my cave now, or I'm gonna hide behind this thing right here. Go ahead.
I cannot stand you. What? And I definitely agree, especially the part where you said we're not even in these rooms of pushing out of deciding of what's being pushed out. Honestly, like I'm gonna say this, I'm really fucking annoyed with auto-tune and synthesizers.
Hey,
like you're choosing that.
Hold on. Let's not say that.
No, when they're choosing that over fucking talent, that's the issue. That's the
T-Pain just got out of a bag of a depression.
You feel me? We're not gonna disrespect T-Pain.
I just watched that documentary on Netflix. You don't want to hate on T-Pain. He's fragile right now. He's fragile right now.
Hold on. However, after T-Pain went ahead and came out, buy you a drink and all this other shit, how many fucking white people came out with synthesizers? Come on. How many artists came out with synthesizers after that? I can fuck with T-Pain because T-Pain did it first. Well, maybe not first, but you know what I'm saying.
And that brother can sing though.
And he can sing though.
And he can sing.
And he can play Call of Duty like a motherfucker, especially when you call
him that tiny desk. Oh yeah, he tough.
But yeah, what about the rest of y'all? What forms of musical oppression have y'all seen? Go ahead, Odie. Go ahead.
You know what I think about? Oh,
they put Justin Bieber on goddamn Essence. I'm so upset about that.
Say it one more fucking time. Say it one more time. And I am gonna send this to his motherfucking Twitter.
By putting this on, you want people on this nonsense now. Why did you have to go and do that? Why did it was a great song. You have to go and vex me like this now. Why
did I adopt him?
Bro, I was so tight.
Did I adopt him?
Well, I just missed it. I'm bad. I kicked out.
I was tight, bro. Why? It was a great song, and they was like, oh, you know what I'm saying? It got to come to the United States. Let's put Justin Bieber on it. He's the blackest young child that we have this close to Generation Z right now. Let's do it. I'm hurt. I'm upset. And the fact that he's Canadian makes it 1,000,000 times worse. I'm done.
Can I just say, my son only likes to listen to old music. Like when I come home, Earth, Wind, and Fire is blasting out of his bedroom. And he heard Taylor Swift had redid September, and my child came out and said, I feel like this is a hate crime.
I think you're right. There we go. She's back. No, it wasn't that. Jess got sent to the shadow realm again. So I don't know.
Justin Bieber's agent was really pissed the fuck off about that. And I just want to say real quick, because I didn't hear what you said, Queen. But just to piggyback off of Odie real quick, who the fuck we got to blame for Justin Bieber?
Usher.
The same nigga who said T-Pain ruined me.
Diddy!
Fucking Usher. It's his goddamn
The
fault.
one who ruined
He
T-Pain.
Hey, black folk, kinfolk. Look, y'all are freaking me out. I have so much editing to do. Y'all don't even understand. Look, we need bring it in.
Hey,
Bring
we're
it
just
in.
passionate. We're passionate about
I understand.
this.
Did everybody poop today?
I cannot with you.
Did everybody
Whoa,
poop
what
today?
you got for me, babe? Musical oppression. What you got for me?
All right. So I'm in the music. I'm I'm a songwriter that's been in the business for a minute. But like Casper said, bringing up Eminem just to kind of piggyback off that. Like J. Cole said, if I asked if my skin pale, would I then sell like Eminem or Adele? And then you look back on history with music. Beatles, Rolling Stones, they Muddy Waters, Chuck Berry. They took Muddy Waters, Chuck Berry songs, and look how they blew up. The Beach Boys, the Surfing the USA. They remixed the Chuck Berry song. So and it's just always been like that forever since it was called race music till now. They're gonna eat off of us, and if when they put it out, it's just gonna be accepted more by the the 70% here.
That too, and you even got to think of, I don't know if anybody's heard of this rap. Well, I know I have, but I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this rapper named Lecrae. He's a Christian rapper, you know what I'm saying? He was making mostly CCM, which is like Christian music that's palatable to like white evangelical music and stuff like that. I think it was after Tamir Rice, if I'm not mistaken. He started making music where he spoke on his blackness. Man, them sales got cut real quick. They were like, we're not inviting you to come to our churches no more. That's guaranteed sales right there. Ooh, we're not putting this music in our youth group camps anymore. You talking about that Marxist. You know what I'm saying? It's so the minute he even has a bar on one of his albums. He says, when you speak up for your race, just watch. They're gonna twist and say you hate these cops. That was that right there where he was like, I gotta take the stand though, because the bag ain't that important, honestly. And it's just crazy when they want their flavor. They want the flavor of you, which is black, which is, you know what I'm saying? It goes back to you want the rhythm, but not the blues part. It just looks better when they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? To them, it looks better when they're doing it.
Can you repeat that real quick?
Huh?
Can you repeat that?
Well, it's because, well, one, for those that didn't know what R&B is, it's rhythm and blues. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about, anyway, I'm gonna be nice. But it's because they think it's better for our expression to be out of their pigmentation. Our expression looks better when they're doing it, but we're not allowed to take comfort into it. You know what I'm saying? I still firmly agree that if Eminem was black and he spit that freestyle about Trump, he would have been missing. He would have went missing. Yeah, I mean, just flat out. But because it was good old white boy Eminem, I don't know about good old and white to some extent, because he ages like a used joint. But but it's simple like that though, because it's the fingerprint. When we're saying like the musical fingerprint that we ourselves etched into the music genealogy, but they don't want us to reap the benefits from the very things that we birthed. Come on, bruh.
Okay, so real quick, I just want to address something real quick, and then I'll get to you, Aoife. What we're not going to do in the comments is keep defending R. Kelly. So stop, please, because that's not what we're doing here. That
The
argument is
Beehive
over.
here?
That discussion is over. Move on. Anyhow.
Did you say the Beehive? You out of
Did this nigga just say the Beehive?
The Beehive here. I be getting the arguments on them all over over TikTok. I be like, y'all Beehive.
I'm stealing that. Stealing that.
Hold on.
Stealing that.
While I got you on screen and we talking about music, I just want to see all y'all's faces when I say this. I have a friend, and she watching right now. She does not know the song September by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Leave her alone.
Oh, you did. So
No,
you specifically did not remember the 21st night of September. That's what you're telling me. You did the equivalent of what
the black experience. The black experience is not a monolithic experience.
It's okay.
I'm not trying to hear that.
I played it for her.
I'm not trying to hear that. I'm not.
No,
Her son is 19
some things
years
have
old.
to
The
be
one was born
monolithic.
in 2002, and he know about the 21st night of September.
Oh, it's not me.
but he
It's
wasn't
not
even
me.
born.
It's not me. I hope. Let's be clear. It's not me. But
it's not Casper. It is my friend. It's my friend.
Terrible.
We still love her. She's still black.
It start off with "Do you remember?"
I was mad as hell. What the fuck? Yeah. Eva, you have something to say real quick, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the next topic.
I just want to say the beautiful and lovely Miss Stephanie Mills said herself that they love Black music, but not with a Black face.
Yes.
And she was talking about Justin Timberlake. So it's just you, and it's always been that way, and it just evolved. It's been that way since Elvis stole our music. It's been that way since they put white people on Isley Brother albums, and it's that way now on TikTok. They want our rhythm, but not our blues. But they don't really take the rhythm. So,
well, I mean, look how they pushed
anyway.
Look how they pushed Beyonce opposed to Kelly Rowland. Anyway, I'm gonna go back in the dark. Y'all go. You go ahead.
This
Jess.
is a pro Kelly.
You're gonna get us all shut down.
Okay.
All on her internet. You heard me.
Is it my internet again?
I was talking about Beyonce's internet. Apparently, it's Beyonce's internet, but we just found out she was Black 4 years ago. But continue. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You're gonna get us all shut down.
But so we've talked about systemic oppression, musical oppression. We've talked about generational trauma, but let's big up ourselves real quick. Black resilience, y'all. Are we not the most resilient race that is in this country today? I dare somebody to go ahead and tell me no. I mean, you can be wrong or you can be wrong. From languages to foods to coming up with ways to escape chattel slavery, and the list goes on and on. Black people have been resilient since the beginning of time. Y'all can't keep us down, no matter how hard you try. I'm sure everybody here is on TikTok. I'm sure y'all have heard about the tut language that has just been starting to blow up. And for some reason, some people are giving free classes on the fucking internet to palm-colored people. I will never understand that, but I mean, if you want to pander to the male sapiens, that's your business. I don't know if anyone, Messy, I know, but she don't know, but I'ma fix it. So I don't know if any of you guys have ever known, but I actually had a podcast talking about ableism and homophobia in the Black community, and I actually had a panelist on called the Deaf Princess, and she is a late deaf, and she actually educated me about the fact that Black people had their own ASL because we were excluded from learning ASL with white people. I see Aoife going ahead, nodding her head. I don't know if any of y'all other if any others have heard of this or anything like that, but give me some of your favorite examples of Black resilience, of how Black people just couldn't be kept down. Aoife, you want to go first?
So I've mentioned my son a couple times. He's 19 and he has autism, which presents its own problematic issues because autism is so hard to diagnose in the Black community. And one of the curious things that I have noticed is I've been told, oh, he scores really high on these tests that they do that have to do with recognizing emotions through people's facial expressions. And he finally got a Black therapist who said, well, he scores so high in these areas because Black people are so expressive. And he lives with Black people. So he recognizes emotions, whereas white people have a lower affect. And so it makes it more difficult for their children who are on the autism spectrum to recognize the true emotion behind their words because they can't read their faces. And so when I think of Black resilience, I always think of my own child because I look at the ways in which I was given such a detailed list of all the things he was not going to be able to accomplish because he was autistic, and yet instill every single benchmark that has ever been placed on him. He has excelled. And I truly believe he has crossed those barriers because of his blackness. It has worked for him in a way that the doctors, the psychologists, the psychiatrists, the teachers did not quite expect.
That that hits for me because I have a nephew that is on the spectrum, and it is believed that my daughter is on the spectrum, but I probably will never get a full diagnosis because of the way these tests are created. They're focused on the white male brain pattern and not female at all. And the traits are definitely different, but that's for another episode. But yeah, what about y'all guys? What is your favorite example of Black resilience? Don't make me start singing the Jeopardy theme song. Odie, you unmuted yourself. Oh, who want to go?
We got a love part. Like I said, you got to be out. You got it.
You want me got it? I got it. Okay, I appreciate it. So I'll give you two real quick. The first one, that's not personal, is Phyllis Wheatley. I don't know if people heard of her. But she was a slave who learned how to read, write, and then published a book of poetry. Like during that time, I think she was I want to say second black person, our second black person, like one of the first women who ever did it. In a time where you can be killed for knowing how to learn for reading and writing. So that's one big person. I'm like, well, she can do it. I can do whatever. And then second, resiliency, like again, just personal. Go back to medical racism. From when I was born blue. I was born not breathing. They gave my mom 3 days in the hospital with me. December 8th, I celebrated my 30th birthday. From them, I flatlined twice. I was in a coma for about 5 days where I kind of barely woke up in the middle. I thought I was dreaming. They wanted to put me on a respirator, and my mom told them no, I was going to come out of it. And sure enough, I did. So I'm just, the way that we keep fighting, just I don't know if it's just a natural instinct to survive out here or what, but us getting it throughout history.
All right, so I'm gonna follow up with the way that Love Poet did. I got two examples as well. So Love Poet, you said that I don't know if it's just something that's inbred. Dr. Kobe KK Cambone, Baba Cambone says that we have something in us called the African survival thrust, right? What does that mean? That means that most Black people, despite wherever it is that we are, we have a natural inclination to self-actualize. We have a natural inclination to self-actualize. And in my mind, the single best way to illustrate that is through hip hop. Literally, the inception of hip hop in the 1970s, August, I want to say it was August 13th, 1973. It's either 73 or 79, one of the two. I always get the dates wrong. But it was in the August of the 1970s. This is in the middle of the crack epidemic, the middle of Brooklyn burning, all of these things. Yet and still, Black people, Black immigrants, and Latino immigrants specifically, found a way to continue to produce fun, to continue to produce things that they can do in the neighborhood, which then became a multi-billion-dollar national or international conglomerate. And half of the time that Walmart became an international conglomerate. Half of the time. Right? So Black people be out here fired, bro.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Casper?
So I think of, because I think this is kind of dehumanizing and it minimizes her accomplishments a little bit, but we forget how gangster Harriet Tubman was. You know what I'm saying? She was a woman that had narcolepsy after being struck in the head by a slave master at 12 years old. She had epilepsy, if I'm not mistaken. She had a bum knee, all these other ailments and stuff in which that she was dealing with. That in itself is, and she still kept that revolver undusty. You know, I mean, she was like, no, She's like, we not dealing with anybody that really want to test these waters. She kept that thing undusted. You know what I'm saying? And I said that wrong, and I'm tired, and I did not have coffee in the last 5 hours. So pardon me. But there's just that. And then we just got to think of, and it's kind of like a gift and a curse, in which I talked about earlier. But I think it was a song off of Love Me Nina by Wale. It was Love Me, can't talk, can't English. Wale's song Love Me Nina on his Wow That's Crazy. And one of the lyrics are, we make depression look so effortless. You know, we're being desensitized while America's trying to kill our kids. We just don't have we don't have a choice to just be resilient. To not be resilient is to bow down to the very things that we're up against. So it's one of those like, it's one of those like sad things, I would have to say, because yes, I take pride in our people. Yes, I love our accomplishments. Yes, this is that and the third, but we shouldn't have to be so happy for an Obama. We shouldn't have to be so happy for a Georgetown coach. We shouldn't have to be so happy for a UNC black coach finally being there. There should have been many more. It shouldn't have taken this long before that got there. I think people are just catching up. I think we are getting to a place where blackness is more than just a skin tone, and we're not idolizing it. We're learning to nurture it. But it's happening, and I think it's slow but surely. But it takes a tragedy. It takes something that wasn't predestined, but it ended up becoming part of our destiny as far as our resilience goes. And just look at last year, like mental health, we all could have been broken down during a pandemic, and then all the deaths that took place last year. Yeah, I don't got time for that. Especially some of our kinfolk that be as black as the ace of spades. But then, you know, never mind. I'm gonna be nice. If you want to argue with me, sign up for the Patreon. See this man acting up in the comment section and get me in trouble too.
Nah, Harry told me kept that massa blast on her, boy. Hell
you heard me. Yeah.
Her house right here in the city.
You feel
her house is right here in my city. Like she ran all through here.
I wish
26
more
locations
people.
of underground rail.
I wish more people would talk about the fact that she was also a spy.
Yes.
Like, put
Yes.
respect on the original Harriet the Spy. Like, this is a woman who spied on people. Like, her life wasn't dangerous enough. To fight for freedom for a country that was still never going to make her people free. That's, you know, like, I love how strong our people are. I hate that we always have to be that way.
Right. I feel you. It's not that we had the option to be strong or chose to be strong. We didn't have a choice. That choice has literally never been given to us. It's either we're strong or we die. I guess my favorite example of Black resilience is you can kill a revolutionary, but you can't kill a revolution. Historically, I'm going to say people, but we know who I'm talking about, have tried silencing our voices when we cry for equality, equity, and justice. But that fight has never stopped. It's never stopped. We have always screamed from the top of our lungs that we are people. We're here. Even though we only make up 13% of the population, we have influenced this country so much since its inception. We literally built this country. No matter how hard they've tried, they've never been able to silence us. You can give us a Black president, but you can't give us an anti-lynching bill. Okay, we're going to yell about that. You can give us Beyonce, but you're trying to pass voter suppression laws. We're not going to be silent about that. We're going to yell about that. we as a whole have never been complacent with the heel of their boot on our necks. And that is my favorite part of Black resilience. So how do
Take your
y'all
time.
feel about this conversation? Did y'all learn something from one another? Get a new outlook? Let's do a mental health check, because this was a heavy conversation. This was a lot of information, this is a heavy topic because it affects us so directly. So let's do a mental health check-in on a scale from 1 to 10. How are you guys doing? 10 being the best, 1 being like, I really need help and I need somebody to talk to. How are y'all doing? Who want to go first? Go ahead, Walt.
I got you. Scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably like a solid 6, with a potential of getting to about an 8 by the weekend or this weekend. Talking about this stuff, going back, and this medical trauma happened to me. So, like I got things in my head right now that I'm gonna, kind of do what I learned in therapy to kind of deal with it and keep it going. And like I said, I'm at a 6 right now with potential getting to an 8. Like we talked before the show, I got my read through this Saturday, so I'm excited yet I'm nervous. But I'm feeling still good right now. I'm feeling all right.
All right. So what do you think is one thing you can do to try to take you closer to 10?
So for me, like mentally, I don't think I've ever been at a 10, so I don't know what it feels like to get to a 10. That I keep it a being with you. But what I'm gonna do, like after this, I'm gonna chill. I got some oregano right next to me. I'm gonna chill with my wife.
No,
I'm gonna
you
put. Yeah.
can't stand his thing.
I got some oregano with me, and I'm gonna just chill with my wife. I'm gonna nerd, throw on some Magic the Gathering. We're gonna play. I'm gonna beat her a few times, and we, get my mind, in a better place and a happier spot.
Okay. Chilling with a loved one. Some, as you put it, oregano. That can
Oregano.
help. That can always help.
Seasoning.
Especially if your nerves are crazy, because you told me what
Don't
you
you
was
dare
doing
call
this
it seasoning.
weekend.
Don't you dare call it seasoning.
I cook with it, so
I
cater.
can't
You want to
stand
get
you,
catered?
boy.
I cater. I did weddings. I've
This
done
man said
weddings.
he said I got oregano. I can't.
I had that
Right.
one wedding litty.
What about y'all? How y'all doing? Odie, you got your mic unmuted. How about you?
Oh, sure. I'm doing all right. You feel me? These are conversations that I like to have all the time. So the conversations, I've kind of become desensitized to them. I know that sounds kind of bad, but that's just how it is that I'm functioning. All together, you know what I'm saying? I got some good news this week. You feel what I'm saying? Somebody is reciprocating some emotions that I've been feeling for a real long time. So you know what I'm saying? I'm settled in that. There's still some things that we need to move forward and discuss. You feel me? But we getting through that. All together, I would say that I'm at a shit, like a 7.5. You feel me?
Okay, and what is one thing that you think you could do to get you closer to 10? It doesn't have to take you to 10, but something that can get you closer.
Continue to execute. It's pretty much it. You dig what I'm saying? Like I'm the type boy, I'm solution oriented. You dig what I'm saying? So I get anxiety from not executing on the ideas that I have.
I feel that. Casper or Aoife, how y'all doing? I will pick Casper.
Knew that was coming.
You knew that was going to happen.
Oh my gosh.
mental health, if we're being completely honest, as if I need to say that like I wasn't being honest before. Um, Currently, mm, I would say I am at a 6. Uh, D still get degrees, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, but I I feel like it can be like an 8. Um, certain circumstances and everything like that. I'm one of those people that needs to be in control. So things not being within my control, and I am allowing God to just maneuver things in place in my favor, but end of the day for his glory. Um, that is something that I'm trying to reconcile with. But yeah, I'm about a 6 right now.
And what is one thing that you can do to get you closer to 10?
Something.
And don't say sad boy hours FaceTimes either.
What'd you say? You trying to be funny? My
I am.
goodness, I cannot. I would just, she's throwing shade. This is why Negroes got to stay in the dark like Wade off of Kim Possible. I don't appreciate this. Something I can do, I will say, is consistency. I think when we're just talking about mental health, especially amongst, Black Americans, people of color, everything like that, I said that separately because anyway. But I think when we're talking about on the subject of nurturing our mental health, nurturing our Blackness and everything like that, surrounding yourself with people that pour into you instead of just taking a drink from you all the time. Just personally, I've had to kind of remove some cups from my table. You know what I'm saying? They asked for more Kool-Aid than they provided in the picture. You know what I'm saying? And
their cups had holes in it.
Yeah, I mean, not even that, but it got to the point where it was like I could not stay full, let alone had any beverage to even offer to other people, let alone myself. So I think when we're talking about for myself, I would just say allow others to pour into me. That I think that's been really good. It's been able to just let somebody else take the driver's seat. But yeah, I think that can get me to a 10. The realist in me may not see it as a 10. I don't think I've ever been at a 10, but I guess I could be happy when it feels like a 10. So
one step at a time.
Yes.
Aoife, how about you, babe?
So if you had asked me that a year ago, I would have told you I was at a 7, but I was really at a 2. Now I would say I'm at a 4.5. And that is actually a good thing because I can admit that I'm at a 4.5. So to get myself closer to 10, for me, it's about continuing to do what I've been doing over the course of this past year, which is first recognize that I may have had plans for my life that got derailed. But that doesn't mean that I don't get to make more plans. And that sometimes working towards a goal can be as satisfying as achieving the goal, because that was something that I struggled with. When you throw in that former gifted kid mentality, it's all about, well, did I do it? Did I do it? And if you don't do it, particularly at a timetable set by someone else, the disappointment is crushing. So I think for me, it's just continuing what I've been doing, which is working towards being okay with the fact that sometimes I'm not okay and being honest about that.
Yes. I say all the time, it is okay to not be okay. That is one of the things I am also actively trying to unlearn and re-educate myself on, because I felt that when you said a year ago you would have said a 7 but you were at a 2. I feel that. And I thank you for being honest and telling us how you doing now. I appreciate it. For me, I would say I had a really good weekend, and I just started this new audiobook. So I would say, Casper, stop smiling. I can see you. I would say I am at a 7. One thing I can do to bring me closer to 10 is never talk to Odie about my spending habits, because he would come for all of my baby hairs. I'm not doing that. Never, ever, ever.
Wait, but really quick, before we move past this topic, just really quick. So, if you all don't mind, I have a homework assignment for everybody in this room right now, because I heard a common theme. Y'all know I'm a therapist, mental health coach. So I heard a common thing. This is what I want everybody to do before the end of this week is out. I want each and every one of you all to define what a 10 looks like for you. Because what I've heard commonly is that I don't know if I've ever been at a 10, because I don't know what a 10 looks like for me. I really want you all to dig deep and figure out what a 10 looks like for you, right? Because I would hate for you all to go through your entire lives and not know what a 10 looks like, so then you can't identify what that 10 feels like. Y'all feel me?
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
I don't like getting homework.
Love homework. I love homework. I love homework.
One quick second.
I'm gonna be mad as
hell. One quick second.
You might get a message from me on Instagram like, "God damn you!" Go ahead, Walt.
One quick second. Yeah, one quick second. Like I want to kind of take back what I said. I don't know what a 10 feel like. I think the one time I felt that 10 was on my wedding day. Like my wife aunt came up to me, like all my family there. You know, I'm looking good, and her aunt come up to me like, "Yo, you ready?" And you know they say like when you like if you before you die, your life flash before you like your eyes. Like something like that happened to me. And at the point I was just so happy, I broke down. I ran into the bathroom crying. Just at that point of I'm happy. Like, so I think that's a 10 for me. I need to know how to find it in other things versus just, you know, I look back into that moment. I go back and like our wedding album and be like, that's what a 10 is supposed to look like. I just got to find it in other things now.
And hearing you say that, I know what my 10 looks like now. It was me bringing my son home from the NICU. That was 10. Nothing could fuck with me. Damn. You making us think real deep. Oh, damn. So I guess Casper's got a question real quick. Would you like the belt or the taser?
Please ignore my older brother. Okay. He
I had to put it in there.
Oof, boy, Negro. My goodness.
I want to thank everybody for coming on. Everybody give the panelists their flowers. They not only gave us an education, they gave us a piece of themselves today. And I mean, it was amazing. I have one question for everybody before they go out. If you could see anybody on this podcast about any topic at all, any topic, who would you like to see? But you got to be able to help make it happen. Who want to go first? I will start singing the Jeopardy theme song. Y'all, come on. Not Casper disappearing. Walt, how about you? You done this before. How about you?
I should be the last one since I've done this before. So anybody I'd like to see on the show, honestly, any kind of cast of either black polyamorous or black people who practice some form of ethical non-monogamy on the show. I got a lot of friends who do it, so I just don't want to pick out one. So that's kind of a topic I think I want to, I'd love to hear or even be a part of.
Okay. Make sure you send me ats and message me. We'll talk. We're gonna talk. Who want to go next? Odie, you sitting there tapping your nose. Who would you like to see on this podcast about any topic at all? But you got to be able to help make it happen.
That's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I got that much TikTok weight yet. You feel me? But I mean, sure. I could think of a couple people to send your way that's entertaining in the conversation. Yeah,
I
I
mean, you
got
gonna
you
tell
right.
us who they are?
Yeah, like what was up with that like Dragon Ball Z, the suspense? What the hell was that?
Like, damn, dramatic pause.
Find out next week on Dragon Ball Z. No, I'm playing. Probably I am K Blake. Who else? I gotta look through some folks.
Okay, we'll talk. We'll talk.
Ooh, never mind. I'll go last.
Okay, all right. Let's hear what you got, girl.
Oh man, see, once you threw in, I had to be able to make it happen. That kind of threw me for a wrench. Um, you know what? There's a young non-binary person, K-Law Create. I think I can connect with them, and they always have amazing conversations. And I know that they are a abolitionist activist, and so I think that's some great conversations that can be had about what modern day abolitionism looks like.
I would love to have that conversation. All right, Casper, you up?
I don't know. I don't know if I suggested this last time. I probably said this to you in private, but I'll say it publicly just in case. There's this. Actually, I think I did say this. Did I say Zabriana by chance publicly? Yes, no. There's this beautiful black woman named Miss Dolly. She's a teacher out of California. She calls herself the queen of clapbacks. She is she does like skits and everything like that. Super informative. I think that would be a really, really dope. I think sharing her thoughts would be super, super dope. And there's this one cat I had on one of my podcasts. He's out of my city. He goes by the Black Liberationist. He's they're I think like 19 or 18. But baby boy got some. When I say like he got some knowledge, like he can jump in the mosh pit. Like he definitely holds his own weight. And he looked good doing it too. Like a part of me is all like, I'm like, you ever see that and you like it's a proud son moment, even though they ain't your kid and you can't claim on your taxes. I just want to run up behind him and grab the back of his t-shirt, like, you better go, sir. You better go, sir. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I can hit both of them up tonight. I think that would be dope to have them on for sure.
All right, awesome. For me, my wish list this week is somebody that was viewing earlier. I don't know if they're still in here. Mr. Anthony Highland, I Speak 1906, or Consciously. I would love to sit there and pick their brains, have them on. I just want to thank everybody for coming on. Y'all were amazing. Stick around after we go ahead and end this, so we can talk a little bit backstage before we all hop off.
Can I interrupt you?
Comments, thank you so much for being I said disrespectful. God damn. Thank you so much for being respectful.
Can I interrupt you real quick, Queen, to give you your flowers?
No.
No. Please.
Look, nigga, no. We're not.
No. Hold up.
Oh, anyway.
Let's talk about my. No. Hear me out.
And my little brother Casper flowers.
No. Hear me out. No. Black woman. I'll mute you on your own podcast. Black woman. So hear me out. So my beautiful sister. I just muted you on your own podcast. You'll appreciate this for a second. So my beautiful sister. She knows where I'm going with this. I told her this a couple weeks ago. This is a podcast that she started. She felt compelled on her heart to kind of share her thoughts and everything. She's only been on YouTube for about 5 months. Didn't even crack 1,000 yet on TikTok. This ain't a diss or anything like that. But she just hit 100
weeks. I haven't been on here for 5 months.
About five. I say 5 months. I meant 5 weeks. My bad. I'm tired and I ain't had coffee in 5 hours. But she just cracked 100 subscribers today. You know what I'm saying? I think that's super, super dope. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember when she first was getting it started, she's like, what do I do? I'm super nervous. Like, I don't know how to talk, as if she doesn't cuss me out and pull my baby hairs through the internet like daily. You know what I'm saying? I think this is a good time to just celebrate her and her greatness. You know what I'm saying? She is carving her own lane for herself, not only in her blackness, in her wonder, in her might. I just wanted to say that to you. Now you could, I'll let you speak, which is terrible.
Coming for your baby hairs on the Zoom. Understand that.
Learn to accept your flowers when they're giving, girl. Learn to accept them when they're giving. That is part of healing.
Is this motherfucker right here never takes his flowers. Yeah, look it up. He not he'll be in the audio.
Clearly.
Literally, he never takes his flowers.
Oh man. He said, could I get some greens?
We get greens instead.
Well, I mean, my man Poet got oregano. Shoot.
I'm finna get some basil.
Little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Hey, but what I got right, I ain't gonna give you what I got now. This ain't for everybody.
He said, "Gotta add a little."
We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
you gotta add.
I appreciate y'all coming on. I appreciate everybody watching. Y'all have a good night, and remember, don't be a dick.